여러분! Did you know that every time I greet you in Korean, I'm actually commanding you to be in peace? Wanna know why? We'll find out today. Let's look at 4 most common ways that we can command or ask people to do something in Korean. I have a feeling that all of you guys are going to love the first way to command someone to do something because all of you already know it. If you want to tell someone to do something, you just construct a regular sentence that all of us have been used to constructing, and that's about it. So if I want to tell you to eat your food, I would say 밥을 먹어. That's it. I'm omitting the subject because it is a very common thing to do considering how the person that you're referring to understands that you're telling them to do something, so you really don't need a subject. I can diversify the sentence a little bit and tell you to eat your food slower. And I would say something like 밥을 천천히 먹어. 먹어? To eat should be familiar to all of you because it is a simple present tense conjugation of 먹다, to eat. It just doesn't get any simpler. As simple as this way of commanding is, it's not really that polite. Actually, let me rephrase it. It's not polite at all. It is something that you can say to someone who's younger, like a kid or your relative or a friend who you're really, really close with and you've established your relationship that like, okay, yeah, we're close friends, like we can use 반말. Otherwise, if you tell your boss, 빨리 가, you might get a slap in the face. And I'm not kidding. Interestingly, the verb 있다, to be, when used in this imperative form or imperative mood, can actually have a meaning of to stay. So if I will tell you 집에 있어, 그냥 집에 있어, stay at home. Just stay at home. Or 잠깐 여기 있어, just stay here for a second. So technically there really is no special way to construct a command. You literally just say a regular sentence and it all depends on your intonation and the context. As for the second way, it is also quite simple and I personally like the way it sounds the most, but to be honest, I can't use it and I'll let you know why in a moment. So the way we construct it is we take a verb stem, like 가, for to go, and we just add 알아 or 어라 to it, and that's it. So if I want to tell you to go quickly, I will say 빨리 가라 or 그렇게 해라. Do it this way or 내 맘을 들어라. Better listen to my words. As much as I like the way this sounds, I can't use it because this is a way grandparents and parents usually talk to their kids or like younger people. It's a little bit of a condescending way of talking to someone. You may not need to ever say this in the near future, but you never know, someone may say that to you, or you may hear that being spoken in the street and you will know what it is, so you'll just kind of give yourself a little pat in the back. Alright, now we are coming to the more polite and very polite ways of commanding someone or letting them know that they need to do something. And the first way is using 으세요. All you need to do is just add it to the stem of the verb and you are pretty much done. If I'd want to ask someone to look at something, I would say 이것을 보세요. Or if I would tell someone to come on up, I would say 빨리 올라오세요. 빨리 올라오세요. Or if I'm giving someone directions and I'm saying go straight at this road, I would say 이 길에 직진하세요. I can say things like 열심히 운동하세요, exercise hard. It's very difficult to translate this directly into English because we don't usually say these things. We just kind of say like, oh, keep it up, like, good job. We don't tell people what to do, like, oh, keep studying. We don't really say these things, but in Korean, it is a totally appropriate part of their speaking culture and kind of interacting culture. So that is something that a lot of foreigners need to learn, where in situations where in English they wouldn't need to say anything, they would kind of be expected to say something in Korean. I hope that made sense. When it comes to 으세요, 있다 is still a special verb and it still holds a meaning of to stay, but I've never seen 있다 being used together with 으세요. What I have seen is the equivalent of 있다, a more formal, more polite equivalent, which is 계시다, being used together with 으세요 in a commanding way. So we have the 계시다 verb, we take the stem, add 으세요, and we end up with 계세요. This is where saying 안녕히 계세요 comes from. And that means to stay in peace. And that is something you say when you are leaving a company of people, and you say that as a goodbye. But the literal meaning of it is please stay in peace. Because you're leaving, they're staying, yeah? Furthermore, the greeting that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, 안녕하세요, is also a command, technically. 안녕, 하세요 means something like please have peace. Like peace be with you. Literally, it means please do peace. But I don't know how that's gonna make sense. Lastly, let's look at the most formal, most polite way of telling someone to do something. And you won't ever really need to use it except when you are speaking to someone who requires an enormous amount of respect, just a ridiculous amount of respect. Your partner's grandparents, the president. If you're in Korea, you'll most likely see it in notices on some government buildings or government correspondences or like bank statements, things like that. It's very, very polite, very, very formal. And that is 십시오. You construct it in a totally same way as 으세요, and you just add it to the stem of the verb. An example of it would be 여기서 내리십시오. 여기서 내리십시오. Which means please get off, which is something that you will hear as an announcement at the Seoul subway, for example. So yeah, that is it for today. Please stay tuned. Head over to the blog post through the link in the description box where you can find lots of examples and explanations in written form to this episode. Right, I hope you all have a wonderful end of the week and a great weekend. I'll see you all next week, and yeah, bye. 안녕.